Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of a Vietnam podcast. Before we get started, I wanted to say thank you so much to our sponsor for season 14, somewhere that I've been going to for a long time, and that's Premier Dental, based in Thao Dien in Saigon. Now, wherever you're listening to this episode from, it might be anywhere in the world, or you might be anywhere in Vietnam, or you might be right here in Saigon. Premier Dental can look after you, whether you're coming from overseas, out of the city, or you live right here. I can't recommend them enough. I've used them several times. I've even had my wisdom teeth out, but they made it easy and simple and actually painless. It didn't hurt at all. So if you are looking for a dentist in Saigon, I would recommend checking out Premier Dental, not just because they're a sponsor of a Vietnam podcast, because I trust them and they are incredible and they really do a fantastic job. So check them out. If you're listening from overseas, just remember it's way cheaper to have a holiday in Vietnam and get your teeth done than it is probably in your home country. So come and have a holiday in Vietnam and get your teeth done at Premier Dental. So thank you so much to Premier Dental for sponsoring a Vietnam podcast, making this podcast possible, and being incredible dentists. So book your consultation today. Go to premierdental.vn and honestly, you will not regret it. All right, let's get started with this episode. Cheers. Can you explain what that means?
So
You didn't know I was going to ask you that. She told me this right before we started recording.
I think she said one of the questions they asked her husband was, "What is your wife's underwear's color?" She judged me a lot when I moved in, and she just keep calling me like a horrible name, like this bitch that married a white man, and then she's like nothing but taking advantage and everything, and I can hear that.
Welcome to a Vietnam podcast with me, your host, Neil Mackay. I started this podcast in 2019, not long after I moved to Vietnam, because I wanted to get to know people in Saigon. It is now the longest running English language podcast in Vietnam, award-winning as well, best interview podcast in Asia. And right now, as we're recording, I'm a few hundred downloads away from 100,000 downloads, which is mind-blowing. We've been doing this now since 2019, which is crazy. Over 300 episodes, and all to bring you stories of people connected to Vietnam. So thank you so much for listening. Watching now, we are on YouTube, which I like to say I've turned over to the dark side because I was never a video person, but you just have to do it now, so I can't really help it. So if you're watching on YouTube, thank you. If you're listening, thank you even more, because I like to call myself an OG podcaster audio. But if you do want to go check it out on YouTube, you can find us there, a Vietnam podcast. Now, my guest today, I'm really excited. I'm always excited to talk to my guests. It's always a special event for me to do a podcast and to record. My guest today is actually a runaway. She ran away from Hanoi and came to the south, came to Saigon. She wanted to follow her dream career in advertising, which she did, and then walked away from that and is now very happy with her life. She's a regular at my quiz nights every Tuesday night. If you've not come yet, come to my quiz at Phan Viet Chanh at the Rabbit Hole Irish Sports Bar. We've been doing it now for 3 years, I think now, and it's really fun. That's how we met, and I was like, come on, season 14 of a Vietnam podcast. So today we're going to be talking about some things that are really interesting. We're going to talk about the culture shock and the experiences of living in Saigon as a Vietnamese. We're also going to talk about what it's like to be married to an American. Now, I obviously talk about that a lot. As you would know if you are a regular listener, that my wife is American, and every episode she listens to, she's like, "You're talking about me again." I really don't have much else to talk about. I'm really not that interesting. But I'm excited to hear what it's like to be married to an American as a Vietnamese. And we're going to be talking about her hobby that saved her from depression and burnout. I'm really excited to talk to my guest today, who's helped me pronounce her name, and she's going to explain to you what it means. It's Hoa Chan.
Hoa Chanh.
Hoa Chanh. Top already.
So what you say is more like, but I feel like it's relatable for all the foreigner to not be able to say the NH sound and NG sound, because my husband tried to say that and he also fucked up.
It's so simple though. Like, it's just, this is the problem that's Vietnamese. Let me try again. Hoa Chanh. That was better?
Yes, that's better.
So explain what that means.
So
You didn't know I was going to ask you that. She told me this right before we started recording.
so stupid, because I was a student, like second year or something. I was in the group of volunteer and have some friends, and they just started complimenting on my body and said, "Oh, your chest is flat. Just like joking around, not like they bully me or body shaming or something, but we're just being silly. And then they said, maybe I should call you Chanh because your titty just as big as a little lime. I said, okay. And then, so they started to call me that. And all of a sudden, I just pick it up and it become my nickname. And it just lived with me. And I have a tattoo of it here.
Oh, that's the lime.
Yeah.
I've noticed that before, but now I know the story behind it.
And yeah, and then I like writing. I started a blog like in 2019 or something. I have some story that I write, but then I just put it up there, and I didn't know what to call my blog, so I just call it Lime Not Lemon. So I am as little as a lime in this world.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that it was your last name or your name on WhatsApp when we were talking it's the same as a lime, right? Chanh?
Yeah, Chanh, yeah.
Soda Chanh.
Soda Chanh.
And now if you see me looking at your chest, that's why I'm...
Yeah, I have so many funny story about the chest situation because, gosh, Vietnamese people like to compliment about your body.
No, really? Also, I've heard the opposite, that they don't compliment. So if you're fat, you'll call you fat. The one I've had was, I remember one time I was in District 4 and the women started touching my nose and I know my family have big noses. I'm not self-conscious about it, but I guess my nose is big. And someone was like, I think someone was there that could speak English and they were like, oh, she's saying you have a big nose. And so I've heard more about will give you not the opposite of compliments. What's that called?
I don't know, bullying?
Yeah, maybe bullying.
Maybe a little bit, but they don't mean that.
No, it's kind of like, it's totally different, right? They're not meaning it to make you feel bad. It's just matter of fact.
Just commenting, yeah. I always, so I grew up Vietnamese and I know what it's like to be complimented about your body and then to be getting that kind of honest comment. So I didn't get offended, but I really feel annoyed when people start to touch. Like, I have some like situation at work that some of my new coworkers just start touching me in the neck and said, oh, I like your neck. I said, oh, please don't do that. It's weird.
They touch your body.
Yeah, but no, it's a girl. It's like, she just do it from purely like that lady touch your nose.
Right.
But I don't know why she do it, but it's funny.
Why are you put off by that as a Vietnamese person who knows that's part of the culture? Are you not more, this is just normal? Or are Vietnamese people also, this is weird, please don't touch me?
So I think a lot of people think it's weird, but they don't have the mentality of speaking up for themselves of, hey, don't do that. I don't like that. Because they feel like it's offends people. Because I think as an Vietnamese, to be specific, we are a little bit of people pleaser. So when we realize that if we say something and then it doesn't please the other people, then we should not say it. So I think a lot of people realize that it's not what they like, but they don't want to speak it out. But for me, like, I just can't stand it.
This to me is part of the dichotomy of Vietnam. I've learned this very early on, especially through this podcast. For example, someone might ask, I don't know if it's to a female, but I know to a male, like, how much money do you make? And that's like a normal question. Whereas where I'm from, I don't think anyone would ever ask you like, oh, what's your salary? And nobody, from the people I've spoken to, nobody likes being asked that question. Is it just like the older generation don't know that that's inappropriate? Because I feel like the younger generation don't enjoy that question. Or do you think that the younger Vietnamese generation will get older and then they'll just ask that as well because they're used to it?
No, I think we are changing. So definitely the older generation, they would ask that type of personal question. But their excuse is, I'm asking because I care about you. I want to know about your life. But because I only meet you like maybe once or twice a year, because we are related, but we don't really live with each other. I just awkward. So I just put out the information that I want to know. And I think it's appropriate, but it's actually not. But for, as you said, the younger generation is changing. So that is changing. I started to educate my parent that it's not appropriate to ask for my friend if they married, if you just meet them for the first time like that. I try to just like slowly educate my older generation instead of trying to change, like, because I can't change anybody and it's just not my business, you know?
So what was it like then being brought up in Hanoi?
Honestly, I'm not actually from the center of Hanoi. I'm from a province just right outside of Hanoi called Vĩnh Phúc. So I was growing up in a very, very small town where everybody knows each other.
Everybody knows your salary.
Yeah, I think my mom talked about it a lot.
Really?
Yeah. It's a show-off thing for adult to talk about their kid making this much money to, yeah, she grow up, she's success, and she make this much money. And then I talked to my mom, Mom, that's not even much. I am poor.
I think all parents are like that, though, right? I don't even know if that's just a Vietnamese thing. Like, I know we're talking about Adri already, and she's like, why are you always talking about me? But this is quite a funny story. Like, she worked in Washington, D.C., and she worked in the Pentagon. And I think maybe once she came across Obama, but her dad would tell everybody that she worked with Obama and was so proud about the fact that she worked in D.C. And it's really cute and it's really nice. And it's, yeah, of course, I think every parent is probably a bit like that, right?
Yeah, they are extremely proud when you do something that they can show everybody that you did it. Growing up, I experienced a lot of the strictness of the tied up northern parent tough love. If you love your kid, you got to beat them up so they can be tough. Obviously, it's not right, but they extremely proud of me over a little thing. Like when I fresh graduated, I got my first job and I told them that I made about $350 a month. It was like my first job. And they was posted it everywhere on Facebook. Yes. They was like taking pictures.
That's why boomers aren't allowed on Facebook. It's different to
Yeah.
telling it over the village fence or over the, like, and telling people in your hometown than going on Facebook and blasting it.
Like everybody on Facebook know I made $350 when I got my first job.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But I understand, like I'm the firstborn. When I did something, they proud of it. So they posted about it, but still I have to constantly remind them that you can't just put everything on Facebook, Mom.
So you said to me you ran away from Hanoi. Tell me about that.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, we have this cool thing called pandemic. So everybody's stuck in the house. Same with me and my boyfriend at the time, but now my husband. We had a tough time just be stuck in Hanoi. It's such a small city. And he also have the visa situation that need to be taken care of too. And we just feel like we have had enough of the fact that we can't get outside. So during the pandemic, we tried to travel to the US. And we did it. I've been in Hanoi since I went to college. So it was like more or less 10 years in Hanoi for me. And it's very close to my family. And when you live close to your family, you have this responsibility of go seeing them every 2 weeks because it's a culture thing. If you're an Asian kid, you live close, you have to care about your family. And then the pandemic happened, I can't do anything and I just feel stuck. So we just decided to maybe it's time to make a move. So I tried to look for a job in Saigon and I got one with an advertising agency from Malaysia, I think. And I worked for them but because it's pandemic, so I can't move. So I worked for them for a year, just from Hanoi. And in the meantime, I also try to support my friend who have a social organization called Keep Vietnam Clean. If you ever heard of them, support them. They just basically, at that time, they call themselves Keep Hanoi Clean. They just basically have like little event where everybody come together and try to clean one spot and just pick up trash or things. So actually, if the pandemic time wasn't that bad for me, I still have that type of activity to keep me busy. But then I just feel like, yeah, it's time to change. I feel like I've had enough of the city. It's always going to be there. It's always in my heart as a home. I'm going to come back, but I need to see the world.
I was actually looking up just about 2 weeks ago the percentage of Vietnamese people who have passports, because you said you went to America, and the percentage of Vietnamese people who have left Vietnam. I'm probably getting this wrong. I did just look it up 2 weeks ago, but I think the number was 200,000 Vietnamese people per year leave the country.
To travel.
Or I didn't say whatever reason, but 200,000 Vietnamese people leave the country per year. And I was like, I mean, it sounds about right to me because the thing with Vietnam as well, that's what I was going to ask about you going to America, because I know through my friends that a Vietnamese passport is not strong. It's difficult to get a visa. I was just actually talking to someone last week whose Vietnamese wife couldn't get a visa for the UK, and I know it can happen, but it's just difficult. It's not the same as other passports where you just walk into the country. So you left to go to America during the pandemic. So you're one of a few people, and it's one of these things that they're like, oh, the numbers are booming. There's more and more people leaving Vietnam, but they're not really booming. They're just returning to normal levels because nobody went anywhere during 2020. So what were the challenges of getting to America during the pandemic? And then was that your first time out of the country?
No, it's not the first time of me out of the country, but I only been to Asia, somewhere close to Vietnam. But it's my first time to go to the West, like the real West.
Yeah.
It's the trouble at the beginning was it's pandemic, so it's extremely hard to schedule a meeting because as a Vietnamese person, I think all of you, if you are Vietnamese and you ever try to go to any Western country, you know that you have to schedule a meeting, like an interview. They're going to interview to see if you rather going to stay there forever. But I have no interest of stay there forever. But I was just purely want to travel, so I apply it. I schedule a meeting. They cancel it. And because I have a few months of travel planned, so I was planning to quit my job to do that too. So I scheduled the meeting 3 months before, and then during that 3 months, they cancel my meeting. And also, it's the due of my company contract at that time because I already notified them that because you need to give 2 months notification. So I already notified them that I'm going to part the company and I have this plan of traveling, and they're okay with that. So when they cancel my meeting, I'm done. I can't not get this interview in time when I still have a job. They're not gonna give it to me. So I failed. So I failed the first time, but then later I applied the second time. But I think it's also miscommunication at the first time that caused me the trouble of failing the interview too, because they asked me, what am I gonna do? So I said, I'm gonna go see my fiance's family. But I never told them that my fiance is here with me, like in Vietnam. So they thought a young Vietnamese girl tried to get to the U.S. Of course, she wanted
Red flag right away,
Yep.
right?
Marry some white man, try to stay there and take all the job.
So how long in total did it take you to get the visa?
So in total, the first time it took 4 months to get the result back that they're not gonna give it to me because they canceled my meeting, and then finally they give me a meeting and I was canceled. And then I was failed. And then the second time I applied only 2 weeks. It only took me 2 weeks to get the meeting schedule. And then I think I got lucky and I met some nicer interviewer. So she just looked at my face and then she started ask question like last time, but she actually being very nice and asked the question like, oh, there's your fiance, where's your fiance? And then I start to say that he's here with me and we've been living with each other for a few years already. That's why we're trying to get it serious and go see the family.
You're like, don't worry, I don't want to stay there.
Yeah. So so in total, I think for 2 times combined, it probably take 5 or 6 months for me to get the visa.
It's something that people from my country, from the West, we just don't understand that. Because if I want to go to America, I can't remember the last time I went. I think I do an online form. It's changed even in the years when I was younger, so 20 years ago. If I wanted to go to America, I could literally do the visa on the plane. Like I could fill in the form on the plane and do visa on arrival. No, nothing before. Now it's different. Now, pretty sure I do have to fill in some stuff online and all your records are kept online and things like that. Australia's similar. I know for Australia, I went there recently. I got a year's visa and it actually did take quite a while to come through even for me. But yeah, we don't appreciate if you don't have a strong... I think most of us from the West or from other countries don't understand and appreciate what it means to have a strong passport because we just have it and you're just used to it. And then you hear these stories and you're like... I just wanted to give you a quick reminder about our sponsor of this season of a Vietnam podcast, Premier Dental. They really are experts at what they do. Their team is trained in Australia, France, and the US, and so they combine global expertise and high standards with really, truly personal care. You have to go there to see it. If you need any sort of dental work, whether you're in Vietnam or the rest of the world, make sure you go to the show notes or just go direct to premierdental.vn and book an appointment today. You can even book a chat with them if you're overseas to see how they can help you. All right, let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, you guys should appreciate your country, really, because recently I traveled to Hong Kong too, and as a Vietnamese person, I have to apply for visa, but it's been getting easier because I can do it online. But they also required me, so I said I was traveling with my husband, and he from the US, so they want me to send a bunch of picture of proof that we are a couple. So I sent them my wedding photo, and then they asked me if I can share the marriage certificate. And I have to have my marriage certificate translated in English, notarize it, scan it, send it to Hong Kong.
Simply, it's all these steps.
And I got the Hong Kong visa.
Yeah.
Cost $700K, but a lot of work.
Yeah. Does it get easier over time as they start to build up a profile? Because they're like, oh, she's been to the US and then left. Like they start to see these patterns that she's clearly not clearly, but probably not a flight risk or things like that. Does it get easier?
I think for some country, if you have the US visa in the last 10 years, you don't have to apply for visitor visa if you come for a few days. It does actually get easier a little bit, I think, but still it take a lot of effort. But next year I will have to go to the US again to attend a wedding, so we'll see how it goes.
Oh, good luck. Did they ask you any funny or awkward questions when you had that interview? The reason I'm asking that, I remember hearing about a question that one of the questions that they may ask, and I don't know if this is still true or this in the past, I heard this years ago, but they'll ask you, what color is your partner's toothbrush? That's a difficult question. I couldn't answer that.
Yeah. Why would you ask that?
But that's because that's the level they want to make sure, I guess, like, you should know that. I don't know. It's just like one of those questions. Yeah, you don't know. But if they asked that and you couldn't answer it, it would be really awkward.
It reminded me of somebody tell me the story of my friend, not a while ago, I didn't contact her, but she was my friend, and then she has a Taiwanese husband or something, and she tried to get the spouse visa to move over Taiwan with her husband, and they have to go through a marriage confirmation with the embassy to make sure that they are real married couple. They even get the paper already, but they got to make sure that it's real. So she got to show a bunch of picture, obviously. And then I think she said one of the questions they asked her husband was, what is your wife's underwear's color? And that, like, I know that there's a sort of verification information there, but it's weird.
That's a bit weird.
Yes, it's weird.
What day is it? I don't know. Tuesday. It's white today. I don't know. That's a weird question. And I think maybe what they're just trying to do is trip you up a little bit, because I think genuinely most people, like that question specifically, I don't know what she's wearing today. Maybe they're just trying to check your reaction to see if, I don't know, maybe they've got some sort of psychological technique. But getting to the US, we obviously, expats, foreigners, we come to Vietnam, we have massive culture shock. And then I've even made jokes about, then we have reverse culture shock because we go back home after living away for so long. And you're like, that's weird. We go back home and people wait in line and don't skip the line. Although I say that, I don't think that happens so much anymore. It definitely did when I first got here, but I think that's another kind of culture that's died away. I can't remember the last time I saw. But getting to the States, your first time out of Asia, what was that like, and what were some of the culture shocks when you first arrived there?
So it was very exciting for me because it's a huge country.
Where did you go to?
Where I first landed was in New York, JFK. But there's a little bit of anxiety because I heard that even when you landed at the airport, the immigration officer can still kick you out and send you back on the plane. That's why before you get on the plane, they will make you sign the papers that if you are sent back,
Get denied entry.
Yeah, if you get denied entry, you will have to pay for your own ticket to get back.
Because I learned this as well through going to America several times, is the border agent is the one that has all the power. So you could have your visa approved, you get on the flight. It's actually not until they stamp your passport and they let you through. They have the power to say no and send you back, which I didn't realize for the longest time. It's like, oh, be nice to these people.
They are. But I think I was lucky because in front of me was like some Korean student boy try to go see their friends in New York. And the officer spent so much time with that boy that he doesn't pay attention to me at all. And he didn't realize the fact that. So I got the tourist visa, which let me stay in the US maximum for 6 months. And it lasts about, I think 2 years, I don't remember, but 1 year or 2 years. But I only allowed to stay maximum for 6 months. And I intended to stay there for the maximum time. So when I show up, it was like December, like Christmas time, Thanksgiving time. So I show up and he asked me, oh, how long you going to stay? I said 6 months. And then he said, oh, you stay for so long, you have a job? I said, yes, I have a job. I'm just taking a very long holiday. And then he doesn't ask anything else. He just gives me the maximum time.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you just never know, right? Like, I've gone through similar situations and you just don't know because they could ask you all sorts of questions and they can even request to see your bank accounts and things like this. It's crazy. I was actually reading an article just today in light of it's gone a bit crazy in America in trying to get into America. There's a headline in The Guardian and it said, don't worry too much, but definitely delete your nudes. Because they actually have the power at the border. So it went into it. They have the power to go through your phone. So apparently from when you land to when you get through the border agent that we're talking about, it's a little bit of a no man's land in terms of like civil rights and things like this. So you don't have the same rights that you do on the outside. So they absolutely have the power to request your laptop or your phone and go through it. What it said was they don't have the right to forensically analyze your computer. So they have to request that from a judge because they have to have real suspicion that there's something on your computer. But they can just look through your phone. Adrian and I talked about it. If we go back to the States anytime soon, I think I might just factory reset my phone. I don't even have anything on there that's problematic at all. But I'm like, just so they don't go through my phone, I might just factory reset it because it's backed up to the cloud anyway. So and once I get in, I'll just reset it. But we'll see how it goes. So tell me about sorry, I kind of got distracted there, your culture shock of getting to America.
Hello, I'm Steve Ahern, one of the judges of the Asia Podcast Awards. I'm interrupting this episode to let you know that you're listening to an award-winning podcast. This podcast won its category in the 2024 Podcast Awards, so you know you're listening to quality. Enjoy your listening experience, and congratulations to the team who created this award-winning podcast for you.
So my culture shock of getting into America is everything is very expensive, guys. Everything. So even Grant, my husband, he got reverse culture shock because we are in Vietnam for so long and the sandwich only cost us for $1. We came over to the US, we have to buy a sandwich for $10. I was furious. So that's the most like the price of everything. And there's another thing. So when we landed in New York, we got a hire car to go to my husband's family in Virginia. So it takes 6-hour drive. And on the way, we stop at just a normal convenience store for some drink. And somebody just opened the door for me. And I was shocked because nobody ever be that nice to me in Vietnam. Like, it's not like everybody in Vietnam is not nice, but it's not our culture to hold door for some stranger. And then when I crossed the road, there's a car who just entered the parking lot and they just stopped for me to walk past. Have some shock like this. I feel like this is a basic kindness of people. When you be people, you just be kind like that. But like when I experienced, I was like, oh my God, everybody's so nice.
It's so different. I just love hearing this because again, I forget about this stuff. The door holding thing, that's something that really annoys me in Vietnam. Really annoys me. Vietnamese people don't hold the door for the people behind them, generally. Just, it's a small measure of politeness. But if you're walking in front of someone like in this building and they just don't hold it for you, where I generally, even if they're a few meters behind, you'll hold the door open. I guess it's a cultural thing where I'm from that's just polite. But I also just kind of like forget about it half the time because I've been here for so long. Crossing the street, I would never expect a car to stop to let me cross the street here because I'm just like, even yesterday I just crossed the street and I just looked straight ahead. Busy road, I had no qualms about it. I was like, they're going to go around me. So I can only imagine if you're going to the US for the first time, the small act of somebody holding a door open for you, you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, I don't know this guy, why he's holding door for me. Like, it just, so I was like, I came back to the car. I remember I got my drink and came back to the car. And then I told my, did you see that? That person just hold the door for me. That was very nice. But mostly, I think the first impression was really good because I didn't get that in Vietnam. Of course, there's bad and good people everywhere. So you have a lot of that taste if you stay there for 6 months. You experience a lot.
Yeah. Now, my culture shock when I got to the States, this sounds really bad. I wanted to see if you said the same thing. Really big.
Like in terms of size?
Obesity.
Yes.
Like you hear about the obesity crisis in America. I feel like you don't hear about it as much. Maybe 20 years ago when I was first going there, it was maybe a newer thing. Now it's just standard that American people there is an obesity epidemic in America. And I think it's maybe gotten better now with Ozempic and some of these pills and tablets and shots. But I remember we landed in New York. I went to work in a summer camp in Rhode Island, and we drove up to Rhode Island and we went to our first fast food outlet. Can't remember which one it was, like a burger joint, not McDonald's, but something like that. And I just saw this couple, and they were the largest human beings like I've ever seen. In the UK, we have obesity as well. We have overweight people, but this was like next level. And immediately I was like, oh, this is what I've heard about. And they have a high percentage of people that are very overweight.
Yes. So I only saw that when so I was always tell my husband that you got to take me to all the lamest place so I can experience the US. So the first place he took me to was Walmart.
I think it's one of the first places I went to as well. You've got to do it.
Yeah, you got to do it. And I get into Walmart and there's many big people and they don't even walk. You know that they have a scooter that take them around so they don't have to walk. Like, man, like I know that some people get into the unhealthy habit of not exercise a lot, but if you just can walk around for a few times a day, it already helps. Like you just like being lazy to ruin your health type of thing. But I don't know if it's appropriate to comment about that. But it was like, yeah, they're big.
What was it like coming from Vietnam where Vietnamese people are just smaller? They're getting bigger now with the improved diet and improved finances. That's clear, and that there's statistics that back that up. But just genetically, Vietnamese people are smaller. Like male and females. Like I'm generally almost the tallest person. I'm 6 foot, which isn't tall, but not super tall. But I'm generally the tallest person, not including other expats or foreigners. So what was that like shocking to come there and come from a population where people are generally smaller in height, in stature, in build, in size, in Chanh, and then suddenly you're in America and everyone's 2-3 times bigger?
Yeah, I feel like everything is giant and I'm just like tiny little girl in this world. So we went to Walmart and then we went to IKEA, of course. And everything is just so big, and even the food, like they're serving up the food over there. No wonder like
It's crazy, right?
people get obesity because also the portion of the food what you get in the restaurant is huge too.
I remember the first time I went out for a meal and we got like an entree, like potato wedgies or wedgie skins, whatever they're called, with like sour cream and bacon and all of this. And we got it and I was like, this is the entree? Or we call it starter in the UK. I think it's an entree in America. It's like, this is the starter? This is the entree? This is huge. And then you get the main meal and you're like, it's crazy. So then leading on to coming to Saigon, so you were in Hanoi, but you were in lockdown. You ran away, came to Saigon, came to the big south. What was the culture shock like then for there?
So first of all, I think a lot of it get easier for me because I came back to Vietnam from the US after 6 months. I miss a lot of Vietnam because you know that the food, and then it's easy to just get around if you don't have a car, and I don't drive, so I feel like I come back home when I move here. And it was a lot easier, but then it got tough when I have to go into the office and meet new people. I am always a very outgoing person. Honestly, I'm pretty friendly. I don't bite. So I get into the office and start to work with all the new people that I don't know, and I start to get a hold of the culture different here. There's a thing that I say people wouldn't understand, and There is a couple of times I take Grab driver and then I talk to them in Vietnamese and they just keep talking to me in English because they don't understand the northern accent. And then I went into the office where you spend 8 hours a day. So it's another house for you. And if you don't get along with your coworker, it's very hard. So I get along with them easy, but I just can't understand any of the joke they tell. And I just feel weird when everybody laughing. I was just like, what is funny about that? And then I try to make a joke that I think is good and nobody laugh.
Oh no.
And that's kind of sad for me because I like to make people laugh. And when I make a joke and nobody laugh, it's just like, it's hurtful.
So did you feel really out of place then when you first got here?
Just feel very lonely. I think part of it because I didn't have much friends yet. I actually have like some friend who moved from Hanoi to here before me. So when I first moved here, we meet a lot and they try to support me. But then everybody have their own life and you got to get a hold of your life. And I just don't have many local friends that I can hang out with. And then I was working at advertising agency, so I didn't have much time to do anything else but work too. Even when you have time, you feel really tired. You only want to sleep. I think a lot of people have that problem. And then it lead into depression and you still not making any friend.
So did living in Saigon, was it that change of culture that led to depression?
I think that is part of it. Part of it is I have a lot going on at the same time because I was intended to change my career path, but then I got a promotion. So I decided to keep doing what I was doing, which is like creative advertising. I was just doing it because I think, okay, now I have this big title. Maybe I can do something more. Maybe I would just get my passion back and just try to live with it. But it lead to more problem because you have a bigger title, you have more responsibility, and you now have to deal with other people's problem, not just your problem, which is another part that lead into the mental health crisis. And then my family was just like pushing for the wedding because we came back from the US and we have to have a big party. So the wedding plan was happening in like 6 months and it's just going on and going. It's a lot of stuff. I'm a very anxious person.
How many people were at your wedding?
500 people.
Yeah. I just went to a wedding like that just recently. It's crazy. How many of them did you know? 30?
Like 10.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Vietnamese weddings are on another level.
It's awful. It's awful lot of things that goes wrong because the big wedding celebration is the must because it's more like for the family and not for you. And the family been going to other people's weddings, so they expect to have a wedding to invite other people too, so they can get the favor return or whatever. Because if you guys don't know, in Vietnam, we give wedding with money. So it's basically a way for the family to get back what they've been giving to other family.
I guess I knew that on a surface level, but just thinking about it, everyone's doing the maths. Everyone's thinking like, I went to 10 weddings in the last 2 years, so I spent like this amount of money. So now I need to get this back, and it's crazy.
It is, but it's the culture. And then so that type of wedding, but lucky I also tell my mom that okay, if you want to have big celebration for yourself, then I'm gonna have my own party. So I'm gonna have the smaller party in Hanoi, like in the downtown, for my friend to fly from Saigon. A lot of my friends just fly to Hanoi to join my wedding. That's really appreciated. But that one was pretty good because there's only 30 people and they all my friends and I know all of them. That's the thing. Like, it's the fun of the party. That's the only time that I have fun at the party because I know all of that and I got to do what I want. I have a band and everybody had fun. But overall, it was a very stressful experience to have a big celebration that lasts 2 weeks.
Where was it? In Hanoi or in your hometown? Did you enjoy it?
So actually, now that I think about it, I did enjoy it. It's just the part that, of course, every big plan has sorry, I swear, but has the part that you cannot expect it. Like, it happened. It's always
Every
happened.
wedding's the same, I think.
But overall, I had fun. I'm glad the family can make it from the US to here to celebrate with us. and they wearing Vietnamese traditional outside, and they keep it. It's just very beautiful to
Awesome.
think of it. Yeah.
Tell me then what it's like being married to an American.
What it's like to be married to an American. How do I start this? You know this.
No, but so I have a very different point of view, obviously, and we are both from the West. One question I actually did have in mind I wanted to ask you. So I think this is a very traditional, maybe old way of thinking that I've heard, which I don't think applies now, but I want to know what you think of this. So there's a few layers to this. And we actually just talked about this last week on the episode with Vietnam. So Vietnam, one layer is, so our friend is now married to a Vietnamese girl. They've got kids, been together forever. But when he first started dating her, he was warned by a foreigner, another expat, to watch out because she's just trying to bag a foreigner. That she just wants to get a foreigner because it's a thing that Vietnamese girls do, that they want to marry a foreigner. So that's one thing. Second one was another friend was with his Vietnamese partner. They were out traveling, I think up north, and everyone thought that one, she was his tour guide, and two, that she was a prostitute and sleeping with him. So that's a couple of the layers. Then the final layer is that I think there's this old perception that Vietnamese girls are more placid and more, what's the word? Like giving, more, I can't think of all the words, but so in the West, there's this, they think that the women are too dominating, they have a career, they're not going to cook for you, they're not going to look after the kids. Whereas Vietnamese women, they're just going to do all of that stuff, and they're more, I can't think of the word, but placid, more easygoing. I think that's an old perception. I think there are probably a lot of older expats here that come here looking for that kind of wife. But obviously I know you fairly well. I don't think any of that applies to you, but have you come across that? And what do you think of those kind of notions?
A lot of time I came across that. And then I even heard people talk like to my back, but I was actually there. Because the funny thing is, when I lived in Hanoi, the first apartment we lived with each other was in a studio apartment, and it has the ventilation that go like directly to the street. So anybody say something on the street, I can actually hear it. So we share our parking yard with ladies who live there forever. It's her house, but she's not our landlord, but she judged me a lot when I moved in. And she just keep calling me like a horrible name, like this bitch that married a white man, and then she's nothing but taking advantage and everything, and I can hear that. And then when she said, and then she just like, treat us very horribly, and that's one type of discrimination. I was just like, the whole time I just feel funny because I was like, I didn't expect this happen to me one day. When in the past, when I first having interest in men and start dating, I never thought that I'm gonna date a
Bag of foreigner.
yeah, a bag of foreigner.
Yeah.
But then that happened, and then what else? I think somebody called me yellow fever, but not in
Wait, called
like the
you yellow fever? Oh, like he has yellow fever.
yeah.
So anyone that maybe doesn't know what that is, it's when somebody is attracted to Asians, right?
Yeah.
I had that actually on the last season or season before. On that couch, I was interviewing Linda Beck, who's a friend and a friend of Adri's. And I posted a clip. And I always find this so funny when you post clips because people don't think about context. They don't realize that that's a 30-second clip out of an hour interview, and they never try and find the context. Vietnamese women are the strongest, most badass people you have ever met in your life. You do not mess with Vietnamese women. So that's right. The clip was that Vietnamese women are awesome. They're powerful. They work on building sites. The Vietnamese women make this country run, right? And we're just basically both saying how amazing Vietnamese women are. So I posted this clip, and I stupidly posted it on Reddit, which you shouldn't really do, but I did it anyway. And one of the people was like, look at that guy's eyes. He's got yellow fever about me. And like, and it's just so funny because it's like, she's a friend of my wife's. It's so out of context thing, and it's just so funny. But so people do love to jump on that out of context. And did you feel that, like, you're married for love? Do you get hurt by that when people think like he's just with you because you're Vietnamese, or you're just with him because you want to get a foreigner?
So I've been just joking with everybody. I said, I think he married me for money, not just like I marry him for money. But we don't have money. But anyway, a little bit more like I got annoyed than hurt because I don't take that person as a person that I care about. If somebody I care about say that to me, of course I get hurt, but she's just a lady who have nothing better to do in her life. So I would just confront with her. And I heard that from my bathroom, and then I would just like speak out loudly. I said, "Oh, really?" And then she stopped talking. But a lot of the time, I found the best way to get rid of hatred is just confront with them. Like, why do you think that? I think I'm a pretty much very confrontational person.
You are.
Yeah. But I'm trying to calm down a little bit as I grow up and to consider the situation if I really want to confront with that person, if I really care about them. But there's another funny thing. Beside that negative comment that I got a lot of, I don't even know if it's negative or positive, because when I notify my family that I'm going to get married, everybody just say, "Oh, you finally get success in your life. And you are so successful now, you marry a white man." And I was like, thank you.
Thank you for the validation of my love. Yeah, it's just a weird, different thing, right? It's so funny because I think a lot of people probably think as well, oh, you're just marrying him for a visa. You're just marrying him so you can go live in the US. And I think in these days, this day and age, it's more like he's probably marrying you for a visa so he gets to stay in Vietnam.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 100%.
That's the way it is. Thank you so much for coming on a Vietnam podcast. I've loved this chat. I'm looking forward to seeing you at our next quiz night. Maybe you'll win one day soon. You've not won in a while, but we'll see how you go.
What are you talking about? We have 2 bottles. We haven't finished it.
That's right. You win a bottle of booze if you win the quiz. So come to the quiz at Rabbit Hole. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to this episode or watching if you're on YouTube. I really, really appreciate it. Hopefully by the time we've finished, even from the start of recording to the end of recording, maybe we've already hit 100,000 downloads. I don't think we have. The last time I checked, we were at like 99,130. So go back, listen to the old episodes. We have over 300. The best thing that you can do is please share this with somebody else that loves Vietnam, whether they live here or they're thinking of coming here. Rate, review, subscribe, all of that stuff to help the podcast grow. And I honestly appreciate it so much that you are tuning in and you've made it to the end. And Hoa Chan, did I say it?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on a Vietnam podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to this episode of a Vietnam podcast. If today's episode made you smile, then make sure your smile is ready to shine with Premier Dental. How good a cheesy segue was that to our sponsor, Premier Dental. Thank you so much, Premier Dental, and you for listening. Check them out. They offer professional, ethical, world-class care right here in Saigon. You can find out more at premierdental.vn.